I've always been an inbox zero guy. Are you guys familiar with that term?
Yeah.
I always fail on that.
I'm familiar with it. The experience,
no. When I see people with like 10,000 unreads in their inbox, it gives me a panic attack. But that's how I know that I've responded to everybody. And Fixer now, it used to be like playing whack-a-mole all day long. I'm deleting this email, deleting that, because then it's just sales, it's junk, it's whatever. Fixer helps with that. So it's an example of AI kind of being able to, despite the fact that this email got through the spam filter, realizing that it's like the 40th time today that somebody has approached me about selling my company I'm not interested in. It knows that. So it just sticks it in a folder. Hey, read this later if you're interested. You know, and now I don't have to play whack-a-mole with those. So now that's removed, honestly, remove 5 to 10 emails a day.
Yeah.
And then other sales efforts, which there's a lot. It will remove another 20 of those a day. These are 25, 30 times now that I'm not getting distracted. That it's not even if it's a few seconds, it's taking me out of my context window. It's taking me out of my focus, and I don't have to deal with that anymore. And then it will also, sometimes a little too eager, but will also for the important emails, it will go ahead and compose a response. There's been times when I've been absolutely amazed at how spot on it was, because it surfed all the data in my inbox and kept in mind some of my previous responses. It maintains nicknames that I call people, so it knows how to address them when it's responding. That's pretty cool, but then there's also times where it can be dangerous too, where it's composed just completely the wrong answer, where we're talking about how we would deal with a client or whatever. And I have to pay attention to those, but it's getting better.
I guess that's the 2% that you mentioned that you are needed as a human to say this is good or not. Matt, I wanted to ask you about the inbox specifically, because obviously there's a lot of products now, AI products to connect your inbox to and sort of help organize things. But whenever I speak to people about this, they kind of worried about the privacy. And, because in your inbox, you have everything. You can reset passwords to your bank accounts, delete your life, essentially. How do you tackle it? How do you make sure that it's safe?
Well, for the example that I just gave, Fixer doesn't really have full agentic control over my inbox. So, I mean, I guess, Anastasia, make sure I understand the question correctly. Are you talking about, you can get yourself sent a link to reset a password or do whatever, and you're concerned that the agents will go proactively and do that?
Well, it could technically. I mean, recently started using the agent from Base44. I don't know if you're familiar. They launched it two weeks ago, which is really, really good. But you have plenty of other, obviously, tools. At the start of it, I was a bit hesitant, but then obviously the benefits are so great that I was like, okay, fine. But I think a lot of people would just hesitate before using something that connects and can send and compose emails and knows essentially everything about you.
Maybe they should hesitate a little bit. I know that sounds weird coming from an AI guy, but I'm not saying don't do it. There's a lot of sandbox environments in which I would and do test these things, because it's my job to understand the cutting edge of technology. In the example of just a simple inbox agent, that's different from something that can go open a web page for you, sign into your bank account, go to do a reset password flow, check the inbox. These are disconnected systems, right? So, you already have some separation. Now, when you start implementing those agents that can control your entire computer, yes, there's a little bit more to be concerned about, and you need to understand, what security measures these companies have taken. Sometimes that's as simple as an assumption being, it's OpenAI, it's Anthropic, it's one of these big companies. They've got a lot to lose with one bad story about this, right? So that they've built some stuff in. You can always read their terms of use. Then there's simple things that are older tech. Make sure you have two-factor authentication enabled. Use an auth app like Google Auth, so that you put in a one-time code. When you go to a site, that's something that the agent can't touch. So if it's something very sensitive, make sure you've got that two-factor enabled.
Cool. Thanks so much. I needed that reassurance a little bit, because I think I started to trust too much AI and all of the tools I have on my computer now.
Yeah.